The massive doors of the Galactic Combat Academy slid open with a hiss. Janmai stepped through, her small travel bag clutched tightly in one hand. The entry hall towered above her, its ceiling lost in shadows. Statues of famous warriors from 100 worlds lined the walls, their stone eyes seeming to judge the new arrivals. Janmai stood 5 feet, 4 inches tall. Her frame was slender, her arms lacking the bulging muscles of the other new students. Next to the hulking forms of alien species, she looked like a child who had wandered into the wrong building. "Is this some kind of joke?" a deep voice rumbled. Janmai turned to face a massive figure. His skin was gray and tough, like armor. 2 short horns jutted from his forehead. The Taurian crossed his thick arms and looked down at her. "I am Daho of Taurus Prime," he said. "And you are?" "Janmai," she answered, her voice quiet but steady. "From Earth." Laughter erupted around her. A tall, willowy figure with iridescent skin glided forward. Her movements were as fluid as water, her eyes cold and calculating. "A human," the Vesperian said. "How quaint. I am Sunak. I did not realize the Academy had started a charity program." More laughter followed. Janmai said nothing. She had expected this. "Humans are so flimsy," Daho said, poking Janmai's shoulder with one thick finger. "No natural armor, no enhanced strength, no special abilities. Why are you even here?" Before Janmai could answer, a sharp sound cut through the hall. The students fell silent immediately. Master Tawan strode toward them. Though he appeared human, his movements were too precise, too perfect. His eyes scanned the group of new students, pausing briefly on Janmai. "Welcome to the Galactic Combat Academy," he said. "You are here because your home worlds believe you have potential. Some of you," his gaze lingered on Janmai again, "will face greater challenges than others." The master led them through the Academy's main hall. Displays showed battles from across the galaxy. Weapons of all types filled glass cases. Training rooms lined the corridors, filled with students practicing combat moves. "Each of you will be tested tomorrow," Master Tawan explained. "Your physical abilities, mental acuity, and combat instincts will determine your training path." As they walked, Janmai felt the stares of the other students. Some looked curious, others dismissive. A few seemed openly hostile. "I've never seen a human fighter before," said a quiet voice beside her. Janmai turned to see a blue-skinned humanoid with large, dark eyes. His body was lean and tall, his movements deliberate. "I am Kita of the Androndan cluster," he said. "I have studied many species, but humans are unusual." "How so?" Janmai asked. "You appear weak," Kita said simply. "Yet your species has survived encounters that should have destroyed you. It is a puzzle." Their conversation was cut short as they reached the dormitory section. Master Tawan assigned them to their rooms. Janmai was paired with Sunak, who made no effort to hide her displeasure. That night, as Janmai unpacked her few belongings, Sunak watched from across their shared room. "You won't last a week," Sunak said. "The physical trials alone will break your flimsy human bones." Janmai carefully placed a small holo image by her bed. It showed a man and woman in combat uniforms, medals gleaming on their chests. "We'll see," Janmai said softly. When the lights dimmed for sleep cycle, Janmai lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The weight of 100 worlds' expectations pressed down on her. She closed her eyes and remembered her mother's words. "Let them underestimate you. It will be their last mistake." Tomorrow, the real test would begin. The morning alarm rang through the dormitory, harsh and insistent. Janmai was already awake. She sat on the edge of her bed, stretching muscles that were lean but well-defined. Sunak rose with a fluid grace. She watched Janmai with cold eyes. "The physical tests are first," Sunak said. "Try not to embarrass your species too badly." Janmai said nothing as she pulled on the academy training uniform. The material adjusted to her frame, a perfect fit. She followed Sunak to the training hall. The hall was enormous. Different stations were set up around its edge. In the center, a large digital board displayed student names. Master Taiwan stood before the gathered students, his posture perfect. "Today we measure your basic abilities," he announced. "Speed, strength, reflexes, and endurance. Your results will form the baseline for your training program." Daeho flexed his massive arms. "Some baselines will be higher than others," he said, looking at Jaime. The first test was speed. Students had to run across the hall, dodging holographic obstacles that appeared randomly. Daeho went first, his heavy frame moving with surprising quickness. He finished with a good time. Sunak was next. She moved like water, her body seeming to flow around the obstacles. Her time was even better. When Jaime's turn came, the other students watched with smirks and whispers. "Begin," said Master Taiwan. Jaime ran. Her movements weren't as powerful as Daeho's or as graceful as Sunak's, but they were precise. She read the pattern of the obstacles, anticipating where they would appear. Her small size became an advantage as she slipped through narrow gaps. She finished with a time just behind Sunak's. The smirks faded. Master Taiwan raised an eyebrow. The strength test came next. Students had to lift weighted bars. Daeho lifted the heaviest with ease. Sunak managed a respectable weight. When Janma's turn came, she lifted less than the others, as expected. Some of the snickers returned. Then came reflex testing. Holographic discs flew at the students from all directions. They had to touch as many as possible in 30 seconds. Janmai stepped into the testing area. The discs launched. Her hands moved in a blur, touching disc after disc. She spun, ducked, and jumped with perfect timing. When the test ended, her score was the highest so far. "Lucky," muttered Daeho. The final test was endurance. Students had to run a course that wound through the academy grounds. It included climbing walls, crossing water obstacles, and navigating rough terrain. "Humans have poor endurance," Sunak said loudly. "Their respiratory system is inefficient." The students lined up. At Master Taiwan's signal, they began. Daeho took an early lead, his powerful legs covering ground quickly. Sunak kept pace, her movements economical. Jaimai started slow, pacing herself. As they reached the climbing wall, she began to gain ground. Her fingers found holds quickly, and she scaled the wall with practiced ease. In the water section, Sunak pulled ahead. Daeho struggled, his dense body less buoyant. Janmai maintained a steady pace. As they entered the final stretch, something changed in Janmai's eyes. She increased her speed, her breathing controlled and even. She passed several struggling students. Then she passed Daeho, who was breathing heavily. Sunak glanced back in surprise as Janmai drew even with her. They crossed the finish line together. Master Taiwan checked the times. "Interesting," he said. In the shower room after the tests, Sunak approached Janmai. "You held back," she said. "It wasn't a question." Jaimai met her gaze. "So did you." For a moment, something like respect flickered in Sunak's eyes. Across the training hall, Kita watched Jaimai with growing interest. He had recorded the tests with his ocular implants. The human moved differently than the others. Not stronger, not faster, but somehow more efficient. "The human is a puzzle," he murmured to himself. "And I like puzzles." The classroom was quiet except for the soft hum of the holographic display. After 2 days of physical tests, it was time for theoretical studies. Master Taiwan stood at the front, his face serious. "Combat is not just about strength and speed," he said. "It is about knowledge. History teaches us valuable lessons." The display lit up, showing a star system with 5 planets. One small blue world was highlighted. "Today we study the Battle of Proxima Centauri," Master Taiwan continued. "It took place 80 years ago. It was a turning point in galactic politics. Images appeared in the air. Massive warships with strange angular designs, soldiers in heavy armor, weapons that could level cities. The Dravidian Empire was expanding rapidly, explained Master Tawan. They had superior technology, superior numbers, and superior physical abilities. They targeted the human colony at Proxima Centauri. Daho leaned back in his seat, his large frame making the chair creak. The humans should have surrendered, he said. Why fight a battle you cannot win? Master Tawan nodded. That was the common opinion at the time. The Dravidian battle fleet was 5 times larger than the human defense force. Their soldiers were twice as strong as humans and protected by powered armor. The display showed the battle formation, huge Dravidian ships surrounding the small human fleet. Yet somehow, Master Tawan said, the humans won. Sanok snorted. Luck, she said. Master Tawan shook his head. Not luck. Strategy. The humans used their smaller ships to target specific weaknesses in the Dravidian vessels. They used hit-and-run tactics. They adapted their weapons to exploit gaps in Dravidian shields. The display showed human ships darting between the larger enemy vessels, firing precisely at certain points. On the ground, continued Master Tawan, the humans used the terrain to their advantage. They set traps. They fought at night when Dravidian vision was weaker. They used coordinated attacks rather than facing the enemy directly. Jaimai watched the display with intense focus. Her eyes tracked every movement, every tactical decision. The humans won because they did not try to match Dravidian strength, said Master Tawan. They fought differently. They adapted. Daho shook his head. One victory doesn't mean much. It was probably just poor Dravidian leadership. Sanok nodded in agreement, or a flaw in their equipment. No species overcomes such physical disadvantages through tactics alone. Throughout the discussion, Jaimai remained silent. She only watched and listened. Kita noticed her silence and the slight tension in her jaw. After class, the students broke into groups for the evening meal. Jaimai ate quickly and alone. Then, instead of joining the recreation period, she slipped away down a side corridor. Keita followed at a distance. His Andromedan curiosity was too strong to ignore. Where was the human going? Jaimai entered one of the smaller training rooms. She activated the privacy setting, but Keita overrode it with his technical skills. Through the small observation window, he watched. Jaimai stood in the center of the room. She removed her outer uniform, revealing a simple training suit beneath. She began to move through a series of exercises, unlike any taught at the academy. Her movements were fluid yet precise. She practiced strikes against invisible opponents, her hands and feet moving in blurring combinations. She flowed from standing to ground positions and back again with seamless transitions. As Keita watched, Jaimai increased her speed. She moved faster than she had during any of the tests. She jumped higher, struck harder. Sweat covered her skin, but her breathing remained controlled. She was holding back, Keita whispered to himself, by at least 50%. Then Jaimai did something that made Keita's eyes widen. She activated the training room's gravity controls and increased the setting to 1.5 times normal. Even many non-human species struggled at that level. Jaimai continued her exercises, adjusting her movements to the increased gravity. Her face showed strain, but she did not stop. Keita backed away from the window, his mind racing. The human, he thought, is far more than she appears to be. Paired combat trials begin today. Master Tawan announced to the assembled students, "This is not about winning or losing. It is about understanding different fighting styles." The training hall had been rearranged. A large circle marked the combat area. Screens displayed student names in pairs. Jaimai scanned the list and found her name. Next to it was Sanok's. Her roommate smiled coldly when she saw the pairing. "Try not to break too easily, human," Sanok said. Daho laughed. "This will be quick. Vesperians are among the best natural fighters in the galaxy." Several matches took place before Jaimai's turn. Students from different species faced each other, testing their skills. Some fights were quick, others lasted longer. Master Tawan observed each match carefully, making notes. Finally, it was time. Mai stepped into the circle, her face calm. Sanok entered from the opposite side, her movements graceful and confident. "Remember, this is a training exercise," Master Tawan said. "First to 3 solid hits or first to leave the circle loses. Begin." Sanok moved immediately, crossing the space between them with frightening speed. Her arm stretched out in a strike aimed at Janmei's chest. Janmei shifted sideways. The blow missed by a hair's width. Sanok's momentum carried her forward, but she recovered quickly. "Lucky dodge," someone muttered from the sidelines. Sanok circled Janmei, looking for an opening. She feinted left, then struck right. Janmei blocked the blow with her forearm. The impact made a loud sound, but Janmei didn't flinch. "First contact," Master Tawan noted. "No score, not a solid hit." Sanok's eyes narrowed. She launched a flurry of strikes. Janmei blocked some and dodged others. She made no attempt to counterattack. "She's just trying to survive," Daho said, sounding disappointed. Then Sanok connected with a powerful blow to Janmei's shoulder. The human stumbled back. "Point to Sanok," announced Master Tawan. Sanok smiled. She pressed her advantage, driving Janmei backward toward the edge of the circle. Another strike landed on Janmei's side. "Second point to Sanok." Kaita watched from the crowd, his large eyes focused on Janmei's face. She didn't look worried. If anything, she looked focused. She was studying Sanok's movements. Sanok, confident now, moved in for the final point. She launched a perfect spinning kick aimed at Janmei's head. What happened next surprised everyone. Janmei ducked under the kick and stepped forward into Sanok's space. For the first time, she attacked. Her palm struck Sanok's chest with precision. "Point to Janmei," Master Tawan said, his voice betraying a hint of surprise. Sanok's confident smile vanished. She attacked again, but her movements were slightly less controlled now. Janmei slipped past her guard and landed another clean hit. "Second point to Janmei." Scores are even. The watching students fell silent. This was unexpected. Sanok's iridescent skin flushed with color. She circled more cautiously now. Janmei mirrored her movements, her stance balanced and ready. Sanok suddenly charged, using a complex combination of strikes. Janmei blocked most, but took a glancing blow to her arm. Not a scoring hit, Master Tawan ruled. Sanok was breathing harder now. Janmei's calm seemed to frustrate her. She attacked again, putting all her strength into a powerful strike. Janmei sidestepped and counterstruck, but Sanok twisted away at the last moment. Both fighters reset their positions. The timer sounded. The match was over. Time limit reached. "The result is a draw," Master Tawan announced. Sanok looked shocked. Janmei simply bowed and turned to leave the circle. "That's impossible," Daho said. "No human should be able to match a Vesperian in combat." Kaita said nothing, but his eyes followed Janmei as she walked away. He had noticed something during the fight. Sanok had been getting tired, while Janmei's breathing had remained steady throughout. As Janmei passed him, Kaita spoke quietly. "You're still holding back." Janmei glanced at him, her expression unreadable. Then she continued walking, leaving Kaita with his suspicions. The academy's garden was quiet in the evening hours. Most students were in the dining hall or relaxing in the recreation areas. Janmei sat alone on a stone bench, her eyes closed as she practiced breathing exercises. "Your combat style is not in the academy database." Janmei opened her eyes. Kaita stood a few feet away, his blue skin darker in the fading light. "I've been watching you," he continued. "You train differently when you think no one can see you." Janmei said nothing for a moment. Then she sighed. "How did you find my private training sessions?" Kaita tapped the side of his head. "Andromedan technical skills. I apologize for the invasion of privacy, but my curiosity could not be ignored. He sat down beside her, keeping a respectful distance. You could have won that match against Sunok, he said. Why didn't you? Janmai looked up at the darkening sky. The first stars were becoming visible. Winning wasn't the goal, she said. Learning was. What colony are you from? Kita asked. Your fighting techniques are not standard Earth military style. Janmai was quiet for so long that Kita thought she might not answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but clear. I'm from Mutera, a human colony in the Sirius system. We specialize in adaptive combat. Adaptive combat. Kita repeated. Humans look weak to other species, Janmai explained. We have no natural armor like Taurians, no enhanced speed like Vesperians, no technical advantages like Andromedans. She stood up and moved a few steps away. With careful precision, she demonstrated a series of movements that flowed from one to the next. But we can adapt. We can study our opponents and find their weaknesses. We can adjust our fighting style to counter almost any advantage. Kaita watched with fascination. Who taught you this? My parents, Janmai said. The pride in her voice was clear. They developed many of these techniques. She returned to the bench and pulled out a small device from her pocket. She activated it, and a hologram appeared. The same image Kita had seen by her bed, but larger now. My mother and father, she said. They were combat instructors for 20 years. They studied fighting styles from across the galaxy and created a system that allows humans to effectively fight any species. Keita leaned closer to the image. Suddenly, his eyes widened. Those medals, he said. Those are first-class galactic defense stars, only awarded for extraordinary service in combat. Janmai finished. Yes. My parents led the defense of Arcturus Station during the Krell incursion. 300 humans against 2,000 Krell warriors. They won, Kita said, not a question, but a statement of awe. Janmai nodded. They used the station itself as a weapon. They adapted their tactics constantly. The Krell couldn't predict what they would do next. She deactivated the hologram and put the device away. So that's why you're here, Kita said. To follow in their footsteps. Partly, Janmai admitted. But I'm also here to prove something. Humans aren't just survivors. We're warriors, different from other species, yes, but effective in our own way. Why hide your abilities? Why not show your full potential? Janmai smiled slightly. If I showed everything I can do on the first day, what would I learn? I need to understand how others fight. I need to adapt. Keita considered this. The others underestimate you. Is that an advantage? It can be, Janmai said. But soon it won't matter. The real tests are coming. She stood again, stretching her muscles. My parents have a saying. The best fighter isn't the strongest or the fastest. It's the one who can become what the battle needs. Keita nodded slowly. I think I begin to understand why humans have survived so many wars that should have destroyed them. Night had fallen completely now. The garden was dark, except for soft pathway lights. We should go in, Janmai said. Tomorrow's training starts early. As they walked back to the dormitories, Kita had the strange feeling that he had just glimpsed something important. A truth about humans that most species never bothered to learn. The Academy's alarm system blared through every hall and room. The sound was harsh and urgent, impossible to ignore. Students jolted awake from their sleep. Janmai was on her feet instantly. Sunok sat up more slowly, her iridescent skin glowing slightly in the dim room. What is happening? Sunok asked, her usual cool confidence replaced by confusion. Emergency alarm, Janmai said. She was already pulling on her uniform. The door to their room slid open. A senior student stood in the hallway. Everyone to the main hall now, he ordered. This is not a drill. Students poured into the corridors, some confused, others afraid. Janmai moved with purpose, her eyes alert and scanning constantly. Sunok followed close behind. In the main hall, Master Tadwan stood on a raised platform. His face was serious, his body tense. "Attention, students," he called. The hall fell silent. "The Academy is under threat. We have received word that a rogue faction of the Krell species has targeted our facility." Murmurs spread through the crowd. The Krell were known as fierce warriors, rarely defeated in battle. Their goal appears to be the elimination of the next generation of galactic defenders, Master Tadwan continued. "In other words, you." Daeho pushed his way to the front of the crowd. "Let them come," he growled. "Taurians fear no enemy." Master Tadwan shook his head. "This is not the time for bravado. The Krell attack force is substantial. The Academy is initiating lockdown protocols. All students will evacuate to the secure bunkers beneath the training grounds." The main view screen activated, showing the space above the planet. Several ships were approaching. Their design was angular and threatening, covered in weapon ports. "The Planetary Defense Force has been alerted, but it will take time for them to arrive," Master Tadwan explained. "Our job is to protect our students until help comes." Another alarm sounded, different from the first. Master Tadwan's face darkened. "Perimeter breach," he announced. "Security reports Krell infiltrators have already entered the Academy grounds." Fear rippled through the gathered students. Even Daeho looked less confident now. "All instructors will form a defense line here in the main hall," Master Tadwan ordered. "Student leaders will guide the rest of you to the bunkers. Move quickly and stay together." The crowd began to organize. Senior students took charge of groups of younger ones. Jadmai found herself in a group with Kita, Sunok, and Daeho, along with several others. Their group leader was a tall Centauran named Hanvil. "Follow me," he said. "Stay close." They moved down a side corridor, away from the main hall. The distant sound of energy weapons could be heard. "The Krell are inside," someone whispered. Hanvil led them down a stairwell. "The closest bunker entrance is through the east training wing," he explained. As they reached the bottom of the stairs, a loud explosion shook the building. Dust fell from the ceiling. "Keep moving," Hanvil urged. They entered a long corridor that connected to the east training wing. Halfway down, another explosion rocked the Academy. This one was much closer. The lights flickered and went out. Emergency lighting came on, bathing everything in a red glow. "That hit the main power core," Kita said. "Clever. The Krell are cutting off our systems." Suddenly, a section of the ceiling collapsed ahead of them, blocking the corridor with debris. Hanvil tried to contact other groups on his communicator, but there was no signal. "We're cut off," he said, his voice tense. Jadmai stepped forward. She examined the blocked corridor. "We can't go that way. We need another route to the bunkers." "The only other way is through the combat simulation area," Hanvil said. "But that means crossing open ground. We would be exposed." Daeho punched the wall in frustration. "So we're trapped." A distant sound made everyone freeze. Heavy footsteps. Multiple sets, coming their way. "Krell troops," Sunok whispered. The group looked at each other with growing fear. They were separated from the main defense, cut off from the bunkers, and enemy forces were approaching. Jadmai's eyes narrowed. Her posture changed subtly, becoming more alert, more focused. Kita noticed the change and remembered their conversation in the garden. "What do we do?" someone asked. All eyes turned to Hanvil, but the senior student looked uncertain for the first time. Jadmai stepped forward. "I have an idea," she said. All eyes turned to Jadmai. The sound of heavy Krell footsteps grew louder. "We're in the training wing," Jadmai said. "We can use that." "Use it how?" Daeho asked. "We're students, not warriors." Jadmai looked at him steadily. "We've been training to fight. Now we fight for real." She turned to Hanvil. "How many Krell do you think are coming?" The senior student listened carefully. "Based on the footsteps, maybe 6 or 7. "Too many to fight directly," Sunok said. Jadmai nodded. "Yes, so we don't fight directly. We use the training rooms to our advantage." She looked at each person in their group. "We all have different strengths. Together, we might have a chance." Keita stepped forward. "What's your plan?" Janeway pointed down the corridor. "Training room 3 has the environmental controls. We can change gravity, temperature, even air pressure. Room 4 has practice weapons. Added handvial. Not lethal, but they could slow the Krell down. Room 5 has the obstacle course," Sanok said, beginning to understand. "Many hiding places." Janeway nodded. "We set a trap. Leave them in, use our advantages." "What advantages?" Daho scoffed. "They're Krell warriors, born fighters. But they don't know these rooms like we do," Janeway countered. "And they'll expect us to run, not fight." The footsteps were getting closer. They didn't have much time. "What do you need us to do?" Kite asked Janeway. Janeway thought quickly. "Daho, you're the strongest. You'll help block certain pathways, force them to go where we want." The Torian looked surprised but nodded. "Sanok, your speed and agility will be crucial. You'll need to draw their attention at key moments." The Vesperian's skin changed color slightly, a sign of her focus. "I can do that." "Kita, can you hack the training room systems? Override the safety protocols?" The Andromedan's large eyes blinked. "Yes, the controls are similar to our systems at home." Jamie turned to Handvial and the others. "We'll need everyone. Some to create distractions, others to spring the traps." "And what will you do?" Sanok asked. "I'll coordinate," Janeway said. "And when the time is right, I'll help finish it." Handvial looked uncertain. "This is dangerous. If we fail." "If we do nothing, we definitely fail," Janeway said. "At least this gives us a chance." The group fell silent, considering her words. The Krell footsteps were very close now. "I'm in," Kita said. "Me too," Sanok added, surprising herself. Daho sighed heavily. "It seems I have no choice." The others nodded their agreement. "Good," Janeway said. "Now listen carefully. Here's what we'll do." She quickly explained her plan, assigning each person a specific role. Some would hide in Training Room 3 to adjust the environmental controls. Others would position themselves with practice weapons from Room 4. The fastest would act as bait, drawing the Krell through specific paths. "Remember," Janeway said, "we're not trying to defeat them all at once. We separate them, confuse them, wear them down." Like the Battle of Proxima Centauri, Kite realized. Humans using adaptation against stronger opponents. Janeway nodded. "Exactly. It might actually work," Sanok admitted. They could hear the Krell at the end of the corridor now. Heavy breathing, metal armor creaking, weapons being readied. "Go," Janeway whispered. "Get into position." The group split up, each person moving quickly to their assigned location. Janeway and Kita remained briefly. "Do you really think we can defeat Krell warriors?" Kite asked quietly. Janeway's face was calm but determined. "My parents faced worse odds at Arcturus Station." "You're not your parents," Kita pointed out. Janeway's lips curved in a slight smile. "No, but I am their student." They heard the first Krell warrior turn the corner into their corridor. "Time to see if humans really are just flimsy after all," Janeway said. Then she and Kita slipped into the shadows, ready to spring their trap. The first Krell warrior stepped into view. He was tall and heavily muscled, with gray-green skin and a ridge of small spikes along his head. His armor was black and covered most of his body. In his hands was a long energy weapon. Behind him came 5 more warriors, each armed and alert. Their eyes scanned the corridor. "Life signs ahead," the leader growled. "Students hiding." From her position in the shadows, Janeway watched them approach. She touched her communicator once, sending a signal to the others. The plan was in motion. At the far end of the corridor, a small object rolled into view. one of the practice spheres from Training Room 4. The Krell turned toward it, weapons raised. A second sphere came from another direction. Then a third. "What is this?" a Krell warrior hissed. Suddenly, the spheres began to emit a high-pitched noise. The sound wasn't harmful, but it was extremely annoying to Krell hearing. The warriors flinched. While they were distracted, Sanok darted across the far end of the corridor. Just a flash of movement, but enough to catch the Krell's attention. "There," the leader shouted. After them. 3 of the warriors charged forward, following Sanok's path. She led them toward Training Room 3, where Kita waited at the controls. The remaining 3 Krell moved more cautiously down the main corridor. As they approached the junction that led to Room 5, Daho suddenly appeared. He had used pieces of training equipment to make himself look even larger. With a roar, he shoved a heavy equipment rack into the corridor, blocking the path. The Krell fired at him, but Daho was already gone, ducking into Room 4, where Hanbiel waited. "They're separating," the Krell leader said. "2 this way, with me." The 3 groups of Krell were now split up, exactly as Janmai had planned. In Training Room 3, Sanok led her 3 pursuers into the center of the room. As soon as they were inside, Kita activated the controls. The gravity increased to twice normal. The Krell warriors staggered, suddenly finding their heavy armor a serious disadvantage. Sanok, who had been warned, was ready for the change. She used the wall panels for support, moving more like a climber than a runner now. The Krell tried to follow, but they were too slow and too heavy. In Room 4, Daho and Hanbiel had prepared a different kind of trap. As the 2 Krell warriors entered, searching for Daho, they triggered pressure plates on the floor. Training drones activated, surrounding the warriors. The drones weren't dangerous, but they were numerous and annoying. While the Krell were distracted, Daho emerged from hiding. His strength, impressive even by Taurian standards, allowed him to tackle one of the warriors. They crashed to the floor together. Hanbiel, using a practice staff, engaged the second warrior. He wasn't as strong, but he was faster, dancing away from the Krell's heavy blows. In the main corridor, the Krell leader and his remaining warrior approached Room 5 cautiously. They sensed a trap but saw no alternative path. "Come out, students," the leader called. "Surrender and you will not be harmed." No response came. The Krell entered Room 5 slowly, weapons ready. The obstacle course inside had been rearranged. Platforms, walls, and barriers created a maze. Perfect for an ambush. As the Krell moved deeper into the room, Janmai watched from above. She had climbed onto the highest platform, using the shadows for cover. This was the most dangerous part of the plan. The Krell leader was smart and experienced. He wouldn't fall for simple tricks. She touched her communicator twice, the signal for the final phase. Throughout the training wing, lights flickered and died. Emergency systems failed. Complete darkness fell. The Krell could see in low light, but not in complete darkness. Janmai, however, had spent hours training blindfolded. She could navigate by sound and memory. She moved silently from her position, beginning the most dangerous confrontation of her life. In the total darkness of Training Room 5, the Krell leader growled in frustration. His night vision was useless without any light at all. "Activate helmet lamps," he ordered his warrior. A beam of light cut through the darkness as the warrior switched on his helmet lamp. The Krell leader did the same. Their twin beams swept across the obstacle course, creating strange moving shadows. "Find them," the leader hissed. From her position behind a training barrier, Janmai watched the light beams move. She had expected this. The Krell weren't helpless without their vision. She touched her communicator 3 times. In the other training rooms, the rest of her plan was working. In Room 3, Sanok had managed to reach the ceiling fixtures. Despite the heavy gravity, she clung there, using her Vesperian agility. Below her, the 3 Krell warriors struggled to move in their heavy armor. Kita's voice came through her small earpiece. Now, Sanok. She dropped a handful of small flash devices. They exploded with bright light, but no heat. The Krell, with their sensitive eyes, were temporarily blinded. In room 4, Daho had pinned one warrior to the ground. The Krell was stronger, but Daho had positioned himself perfectly, using leverage rather than pure strength. Hanbiel had led the second warrior into a tangle of training cables, slowing him down. Back in room 5, Janmei moved silently from shadow to shadow, avoiding the sweeping light beams. She could hear the Krell breathing, could sense their positions from the sound of their heavy boots on the floor. The leader stopped suddenly. "Something's wrong," he said. "The other teams aren't responding." The warrior checked his communicator. No signal. Could be the building damage or a small object rolled between them. They turned their lights toward it. It was just another training sphere, but the distraction was enough. Janmei moved, quick and silent. She slipped behind the warrior and struck precisely at a gap in his armor, where the neck plate met the shoulder. The warrior grunted and spun around, sweeping his weapon in a wide arc. Janmei was already gone, disappearing back into the darkness. "She's here," the warrior said. "The human." The Krell leader laughed. A human, in the dark, against Krell warriors. Not just any human. Janmei's voice came from somewhere in the darkness. A trained human. The Krell fired their weapons toward the sound. Energy blasts hit the walls, creating brief flashes of light. Janmei was no longer there. "You can't win, human," the leader said. "We are Krell. We are born warriors." "So am I," Janmei replied, her voice coming from a different direction now. She moved again, silent and fast. This time she struck the warrior's knee joint, another weak point in his armor. He stumbled but didn't fall. The leader fired wildly, trying to catch her in the light. "Stop hiding. Face us." "I'm not hiding," Janmei said. "I'm adapting." She continued this pattern, striking and vanishing, never staying in one place. The Krell grew frustrated. Their movements became less controlled, their breathing heavier. In room 3, Kita had joined Sanok. Together, they had managed to disable 2 of the Krell warriors. The third was still fighting, but the heavy gravity had exhausted him. In room 4, Daho had finally overpowered his opponent. The Krell warrior lay unconscious. Hanbiel had trapped the second warrior in training cables. But in room 5, the Krell leader had adapted to Janmei's tactics. When she struck again, he was ready. He grabbed her arm and threw her across the room. Janmei hit a training barrier hard. Pain shot through her body. The leader's light found her, pinning her in its beam. "Found you," he said, raising his weapon. At that moment, the warrior shouted a warning. Too late. Daho charged into the room, tackling the warrior to the ground. The leader turned, distracted for just a second. It was enough. Janmei ignored her pain and moved. Using every bit of her training, she launched herself at the leader. Her strike was precise and powerful, targeting a nerve cluster at the base of the Krell's skull. The leader staggered but didn't fall. He was too strong, too experienced. "You'll have to do better than that, human," he growled, turning back to her. Janmei stood her ground. Blood trickled from a cut on her forehead. Her body ached from the impact with the barrier, but her eyes were clear and focused. "I'm just getting started," she said. Janmei faced the Krell leader in the dim light of his helmet lamp. Her body ached, but her mind was clear. She shifted her stance, ready for his attack. The Krell charged, faster than something so large should move. Janmei didn't try to match his strength. Instead, she used his momentum against him, stepping aside at the last second and guiding his motion. The leader stumbled past her but recovered quickly. He spun around, his weapon raised. "Impressive," he said, but not enough. Daho was still wrestling with the other warrior. Neither could gain an advantage. The Krell leader attacked again. This time, Janmei couldn't avoid him completely. His arm caught her shoulder, sending her spinning. She rolled with the impact, coming back to her feet. Pain flared through her body, but she pushed it aside. Her training had prepared her for this. Pain was just information, not a command to stop. "You're strong," she admitted, "but strength isn't everything." She tapped her communicator 4 times, the signal for the final part of her plan. In room 3, Ki-Tai received the signal. He activated the room's environmental systems one last time. Air rushed out of room 5, creating a powerful wind. Loose equipment and small objects flew around the room. The Krell leader braced himself against the wind. His helmet lamp beam bounced wildly around the room, creating chaotic shadows. Janmai had expected this. She moved with the wind rather than against it, using it to increase her speed. She struck the leader from behind, then from the side, then from another angle. Each blow was precisely aimed at the weak points in his armor. None was powerful enough to stop him, but together they began to take a toll. The leader roared in frustration. He fired his weapon blindly, the energy blasts hitting walls and equipment. One blast struck near Dao. The Taurian lost his grip on the warrior he was fighting. The Krell immediately turned toward Janmai, raising his weapon. "Janmai!" Dao shouted in warning. She turned just as the warrior fired. There was no time to dodge. The energy blast hit her directly in the chest. Janmai fell to the ground, her body smoking slightly. The Krell leader laughed. "So much for your human fighter," he said to Dao. The Taurian roared in anger. He charged at the warrior who had shot Janmai, his massive strength fueled by rage. They crashed into a training barrier together. The Krell leader moved toward Janmai's fallen form. "Flimsy humans," he muttered. "So easy to break." He reached down to check if she was dead. Suddenly, Janmai's eyes snapped open. Her hand shot up, holding something small and bright. It was a training neural disruptor taken from room 4. Not lethal, but incredibly painful at close range. Before the leader could react, Janmai activated the device. It sent a pulse of energy directly into the leader's nervous system. He screamed and fell backward. Janmai struggled to her feet. Her uniform was burned where the blast had hit, but the academy training suits were designed to absorb energy. It had saved her life, though not without cost. Her entire body trembled with pain. The Krell leader was on his knees, temporarily paralyzed by the neural disruptor. Janmai approached him slowly. "Humans aren't flimsy," she said quietly. "We're adaptable. We endure. We overcome." With a final, precise strike to his neural cluster, she rendered the leader unconscious. The room fell silent except for heavy breathing. Dao had managed to subdue the other warrior. He stared at Janmai with new eyes. You survived a direct hit," he said in disbelief. Janmai's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the floor, finally allowing herself to feel the full extent of her injuries. "I might need the medical bay, though," she said, attempting a smile. The lights suddenly came back on. In the doorway stood Master Tawan and several academy security officers. "The Krell attack has been repelled," Master Tawan announced. He surveyed the room, taking in the unconscious Krell warriors and the injured students. "It appears you did not need our help after all." His eyes rested on Janmai, noting her injuries and the fallen Krell leader beside her. "Get the medical team," he ordered one of the officers. To Janmai, he said, "Hold on, student. Help is coming." Janmai nodded weakly. The adrenaline was fading, leaving only pain and exhaustion. The last thing she saw before losing consciousness was the faces of her classmates, Sanok, Ki-Tai, and Dao, looking at her not with dismissal or mockery, but with respect. Janmai opened her eyes to the clean white ceiling of the Academy Medical Bay. Her body felt stiff and sore, but the sharp pain was gone. Medical patches covered her chest, where the energy blast had hit. "She's awake," a familiar voice said. Janmai turned her head to see Ki-Tai sitting beside her bed. Behind him stood Sanok and, surprisingly, Dao. "How long was I out?" Janmei asked, her voice rough. 2 days, Kita answered. The doctors had to repair some tissue damage from the energy blast. Daeho stepped forward awkwardly. The large Taurian seemed uncomfortable. You saved us, he said finally. If you hadn't made that plan. Sunok nodded. The Krell would have captured or killed us all. Janmei tried to sit up. Kita helped her, adjusting the bed to a sitting position. We worked together, Janmei said. Each of you did your part. But it was your strategy, Sunok insisted. Your leadership. Her usual cold tone was gone, replaced by something like respect. The door slid open, and Master Tadwan entered. He looked tired but satisfied. Good, you're awake, he said to Janmei. The Academy owes you and your classmates a debt of gratitude. He explained what had happened after she lost consciousness. The Krell attack had been defeated. Academy security and the instructors had handled the main force, but the group of warriors that Janmei's team disabled would have cut off the evacuation route for many younger students. Your actions saved lives, Master Tadwan said. What about the other students? Janmei asked. Is everyone safe? Master Tadwan nodded. Some injuries, but no casualties among our students. The academy will reopen for classes in 3 days. He paused, studying Janmei carefully. I've been reviewing your application file. You didn't mention that your parents are Sumin and Jinho Park. The other students looked at Janmei with surprise. Even those not familiar with human names knew of the legendary defenders of Arcturus Station. I wanted to earn my place on my own merits, Janmei explained. Master Tadwan nodded in understanding. A commendable choice, but their legacy lives in you, clearly. After the master left, the room was quiet for a moment. Then Daeho spoke. I was wrong about you, he admitted. About humans, I thought physical strength was everything. Most species make that mistake, Janmei said. They see our size, our lack of natural armor or claws, and they think we're weak. But you're not, Sunok said. You're just different. 1 week later, the academy held a special ceremony. Students and instructors gathered in the main hall. Master Tadwan stood on the central platform. Today we honor those who showed exceptional courage during the Krell attack, he announced. Several students were called forward to receive commendations. When Janmei's name was called, she walked to the platform, standing tall despite the lingering soreness of her injuries. Janmei Park, Master Tadwan said, your leadership and tactical brilliance saved many lives. The Academy awards you this special commendation. He handed her a small medallion. Then he continued with something unexpected. Additionally, I am announcing a change to our curriculum. Beginning next term, we will include human adaptive combat techniques as part of our standard training. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Janmei has agreed to assist in developing this new training module, Master Tadwan added. As Janmei looked out at the assembled academy, she saw something she hadn't seen before. Respect. No one was calling her FLIMSY now. Later, she stood with Kita, Sunok, and Daeho in the garden. So, are we friends now? Kita asked, his large eyes blinking curiously. Sunok's skin shifted through several colors before settling. I believe we are more than that. We are a team. Daeho nodded his large head. A good team. Janmei smiled. I like the sound of that. In the distance, a shuttle was landing. New students arriving for the next term. Among them, Janmei could see several humans. Word had spread about a human student who had helped defeat Krell warriors. Your parents would be proud, Kita said softly. Janmei touched the small holo image she kept with her. Yes, they would. She was no longer just the flimsy human. She was Janmei Park, a fighter of legends in her own right.